True Woodworm asks whether we have an update on Fallout New Vegas, accompanying it with lashings of sugar plums and magical peanut sauce in a bid to curry our favour. Right, so Fallout New Vegas, which as anyone who hasn't been living in a vault for the last 12 months should know, is to Fallout 3 what Vice City and San Andreas were to GTA 3.
Better.
Quite possibly, but what I'm inferring is that it's not an official sequel, but a full-blown spin-off set on the other side of the US post-apocalyptic. This time around, your fully malleable persona hasn't led a sheltered life in a vault. Instead, you're a courier who's fully versed in the hazardous ways in the Nevada wastelands. At least you are until a bullet in the head wipes out your memory, giving you the convenient opportunity to dictate your appearance and skills.
Massive handlebar tash and flawless chat-up technique every time, just like real life.
Really? What was your best line again?
I'm impressed you managed to fit into those trousers.
Brilliant. You'll also be able to dictate whether you want to tackle the new hardcore option, which ditches tutorials and gives you a host of real-life setbacks to consider, including hunger and dehydration, stim packs that heal gradually rather than instantaneously, and ammo that actually contributes to your overall weight total.
Sounds positively miserable, but then I suppose life in a violent, mutant-infested world isn't all candy floss, rainbows and unicorns. In fact, those three things aren't present at all, which is disappointing considering how long it took me to write that letter to Obsidian. However, there are three slightly more relevant improvements over Fallout 3, namely the companion wheel, which lets you issue basic commands to your AI allies, an improved VAT system that now incorporates melee combat, and the ability to modify weapons.
Sounds awesome. Still no release date yet, but if you want to keep track of Fallout New Vegas' progress throughout the year, visit Bethesda's official blog at bethblog.com.
Just when you thought it was safe to run a mailbag show about video games again, the Call of Duty franchise returns, demolishing everything else in its path like a tactical nuke that was entirely legitimately earned.
Yes, Call of Duty Black Ops, the next game in the Juggernaut franchise, was announced last Friday, and immediately our inbox was comprehensively destroyed and the ground underneath it salted so nothing would ever grow there again.
A lot of people are asking about it, basically. Unfortunately, details are extremely thin on the ground beyond a trailer and a release date of the 9th of November this year. For more as soon as we get it, by which I mean there's absolutely no need for you all to ask us any more questions about future Call of Duty games, because once we know more, you'll know more. I mean it.
Divine Pink Lily has made our day by asking a question about a fantasy role player that isn't Elder Scrolls V, namely Topware Interactive's Two Worlds 2.
Now, there's a good reason this makes a welcome change from questions about Elder Scrolls V, and that's because Two Worlds 2 actually exists, and we actually have proper information to share with you. Imagine! Now, before you scoff and say something sneery like, the original Two Worlds was a buggy, disobedient, horse-ridden Oblivion imitator developed by a studio called Reality Pump. Reality Pump! It's probably best to know that the people responsible are fully aware of the original game's shortcomings and appear to be doing their best to address them all. Sadly, this doesn't extend to Reality Pump, who are still called Reality Pump.
For starters, the game's publisher has seen fit to give script writing and voiceover duties to native English speakers, including one of the writers responsible for Dead Space. This should hopefully translate to a plot you can actually follow and dialogue that isn't drowning in ye old English cliches.
Verily. It's also come a long way visually thanks to the Grace engine, one of the game's many fully capitalised and fully trademarked bespoke features, which will allegedly reduce loading times and improve the game's performance. What we're hoping that actually means is that characters will no longer turn into hovering black cubes should memory be in short supply.
Other shouty innovations include the demons,
Trademark.
magic management and paypack,
Trademark.
alchemy systems, as well as craft,
Trademark.
a tool that lets you break down the components of weapons and armour in order to build your own unique items.
Co-op play is also fully supported, with up to 8 players able to party up across 7 missions that bridge the 5-year gap between the conclusion of Two Worlds and the beginning of its sequel's single-player quest. Only 4 can actually enter dungeons, so the other half can spend their time figuring out how best to kill them in their sleep and steal their treasure once they've resurfaced. Here's Andy to tell you when it's out. What's the date, Andy?
Thanks, Dan. 17th of September. Dan?
Thanks, Andy.
Thanks, Dan.
The terrifying Bee Army 99 has formed the 99 bees that constitute their unusual military unit into a vaguely humanoid shape long enough to ask the question, is there any news on the game Brink?
One day you'll kill us all, Bee Army, but for today, thanks for just sticking to questions about video games. So, Brink. This is a new game from Splash Damage Studios and Bethesda in that most underutilised of genres, the first-person shooter. However, Brink is different.
They all say that, though. What's the gimmick this time? Your gun is haunted by the ghost of your wisecracking dead father. One of the characters' names is Paxton Fettel.
No, Brink mixes first-person shooting action with free-running movement, like that seen in Mirror's Edge or Assassin's Creed. Brink uses a system called SMART, which stands for Smooth Movement Across Random Terrain, that allows you to maneuver around complex environments without an incredibly complicated control system that requires 3 hands by analysing their position and judging what you're trying to do.
Right, so it's essentially a button you press to free run, and how that happens is determined by your position. So if you hold the SMART button and look up and over an obstacle, your character will leap over the top of it. Hold down SMART and look at the underside of the same obstacle, and your character will swing lively underneath it. Simple.
So that's movement. How about gameplay? Well, Brink is firmly team-based in its approach. There are 2 factions in the game, security and resistance, and gameplay takes the form of objective-based 8 versus 8 matches with additional optional objectives that earn you more experience. You can play solo with bots filling in the additional roles, or up to 8 versus 8 online.
There are 4 classes to choose from: Soldier, which is your standard assault class; Engineer, who is skilled in explosives, gadgets and hacking; Operative, which is more suited to stealth; and Medic, which we imagine lets you do medic-y stuff. You get class-specific experience and skills as you level up, but your character will also gain global abilities from general play.
There's also extensive character creation and customization options, giving you huge control over how your character looks, provided you don't mind the fact that the only facial option seems to be rubber Halloween mask of Sylvester Stallone.
Brink is due out this autumn and is definitely one we'll be watching closely for more news as it happens.
Someone with what we can only assume is a deliberately annoying and unpronounceable gamer tag,
Seems pretty straightforward to me, Kummel Exica Rumama Alkex,
my mistake, is asking if we have any info on Blacklight Tango Down.
Well, indeed we do. Blacklight Tango Down is a new download-only first-person shooter coming to Xbox Live Arcade.
We chatted to Blacklight's project lead Jared Garrettson recently, who's probably slightly more qualified to talk about the game than we are.
The idea of Blacklight, the Blacklight universe, is very strongly grounded in reality, but having the fantastic idea of holographic signs and future technology as well as future warfare of viruses. And so that's kind of what we did. It's something that you could see today or you can imagine into the future. You're looking through a visor that is getting up-to-date data constantly, and that's where the HRV comes in, hyper-reality view. And what that does, it actually tells you where the enemies are and keeps the gameplay so much faster than hunting down someone, and it allows you to find the combat as well as the objectives in the game, and it also makes it so you can remove the mini-map, and it makes the experience a lot more realistic and conducive. We wanted to keep the game focused with multiplayer exclusivity. We have co-op in it, but it's co-op with multiplayer, so we really believed in just that package.
It's due out this summer and is tentatively set to cost 1,200 of your Microsoft points.
Ex-D-Town King 313X has sent a royal messenger from his throne in D-Town, possibly Dunstable, he doesn't elaborate, to ask us if there's any news on Madden NFL 11.
Yep, forget your Pro Evolution Soccer and your FIFA games, now we're talking another kind of football, the kind that our American viewers call football, which is, paradoxically, played with the hands. Did you know they also call cricket swimming? True story.
I'm fairly sure that's not the case. Yes, unbelievably, this year's Madden is the 22nd instalment of the popular pigskin franchise, but EA are apparently not resting on their laurels, giving the game a hefty overhaul for 2010.
The watchwords this time are apparently quicker, simpler and deeper. Simpler is covered by the new game flow system, which basically does the coaching for you if you're not particularly strategically inclined, which also covers off quicker, as you could spend more time playing the game and less time nose deep in the playbook, meaning you can now apparently complete games in half the time.
All the more time for something to do with football.
Don't start if you haven't got anything.
Sorry. Deeper appears to be based on new features, improved animations and control options, enhanced online functionality, and new broadcast and audio presentation. Also, if you plug in a headset, you'll get your coach's voice in your ear, offering heads-up strategy after the huddle.
The cover star this year is Drew Brees, quarterback for the New Orleans Saints, and if the supposed Madden curse is to be believed, this will be his last appearance before he's turned into stone and flung into the heart of the sun by dark forces beyond the control of human wizards.
It's happened to every single one of them. Spooky.
Finally, we've had an overwhelming number of you asking when the Halo Reach beta ends. The extremely quick answer to that is the 19th of May.
Well, that's it for this week's show. Fuel our question engines by sending your inquiries to the gamertag Sentuamessage.
Email them to sentuamessage@hotmail.com.
Write on our Facebook wall at facebook.com/Sentuamessage.
Tweet us at sentuamessage.
Or record your question onto a cursed videotape that causes a demonic Japanese Onryu ghost to pursue us until we answer it.
Oh, not again, I just got a new TV.
Such are the sacrifices we have to make. We'll see you next week, everyone.
Bye.